Welcome to the Jeffers Brief, only on Contra Radio Network.
And hello again, it's John Jeffers here. It's Thursday, October 18th. I'm going to do part 2 of the Patriot update that I did last night. I want to get this taken care of because I got some ideas. I want to get them out there before I forget about them. First, let me slide this over here. Come here, you. There we go. Put that up there. Nice. Put that on the second screen. Looking good. Slide that over here. Life is good. All right, got it. Okay. I want to ask you something before we get started. This whole thing about this Saudi reporter in Turkey getting killed, murdered by his own government. He wasn't even a U.S. citizen. I have a question. Why in the hell is the FBI investigating anything in Turkey? Are we now going to investigate every murder that outrages Congress, that outrages the mainstream media? Fact, he wasn't a U.S. citizen. He was a Saudi citizen. The crime did not happen on U.S. soil. It happened in Turkey, at the Saudi consulate. Again, sovereign territory for Saudi Arabia. Why is the U.S. involved in this at all? If the Saudis want to sit there and murder their own citizens, it is up to their citizens to do something or say something about it. Not the FBI. The FBI doesn't have jurisdiction there. Now, granted, there was a lot of pressure from the mainstream media. Maybe they threw a fit because one of their own got killed. It happens. It happens a lot around the world. Does that mean we're going to send the FBI to investigate everything? And because the FBI has no jurisdiction whatsoever, what the hell are they going to do? They can't take evidence, they can't seize evidence, they can't test evidence unless the Turkish authorities give it to them. Turkey says, we can't analyze this, we don't know what we're doing here, you take it. That doesn't seem to be the case. Why did we send Secretary Pompeo to Saudi Arabia to ask them, why did you kill one of your own citizens? Why? Somebody tell me why this is happening. I don't know why. And second of all, I'm tired of hearing about it. It has nothing to do with the United States. Like I said, what are we going to do? Are we going to start investigating every murder that happens? Wasn't a U.S. citizen. Didn't happen anywhere in the United States. Not even in a territory. Not at the consulate. No jurisdiction whatsoever. You tell me. You know, the bottom line is, tell the truth, I really don't care. The man walked into his own, he's a Saudi citizen, walked into his own consulate to get some kind of marriage license permission, who the hell knows, to marry his Turkish fiancée. The consulate was in Turkey. Why are we involved in it? Oh, because he was a reporter for the Washington Post. So what? He wasn't murdered here. He wasn't a citizen. It has nothing to do with it. Let me ask you this. It's a moot point. But I'm tired of hearing about it. I don't care. The Saudis want to sit there and treat their citizens that way. That's up to the Saudi government. If the citizens of Saudi Arabia, or the subjects, because they're a monarchy, if the subjects of Saudi Arabia don't like it, it is up to them to do something, say something, whatever. It's got nothing to do with the United States. Why are we wasting our taxpayers' time and money to investigate a crime that has nothing to do with anybody or anything in the United States other than the fact, well, he worked for the Washington Post. Let me tell you something. Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post. Jeff Bezos doesn't like the Trump administration. I don't get it. Explain it to me. Someone explain it to me. Because I'm stupid and I don't get it. Do you get it? I don't understand this. Why in the hell we're even involved in there? All right. Got that off my chest. I feel better. Hey, you guys want these shirts? Where is it? Right. Yeah, gotta get the other shirt. Here we go. Someone says, guys, remember, I'm looking in the camera, so I gotta go to the opposite side. CRN, embroidered. Hey, we got the shirts at the QB store. Order up a few of them. You'll like them. We got long sleeve t-shirts too. It's perfect time to order them up right now. Go ahead and do so. And now, I want to finish up what I started last night on the Patriot Update Part 1. This will be Patriot Update Part 2. I did post a few riot videos of Antifa starting the riots in Portland. That's on the Disgrace Book page. Take a look at it. I love watching Antifa getting their ass handed to them. I do. I do. And I love watching it when the Patriots take that American flag that they're carrying. You see, half a dozen of them easily. Charge into the fray! And sticking it to those little socialist bastards. I do. I love it. Makes me proud to be an American. In the meantime, I don't know. Oh, what does I got to do here? Let me fit. I found up a new. Yes, that's right. I'm proud to be an American. So there. There you go. I had to do it, guys. Sorry, couldn't help myself. And there are times, I know it's a new sound effects folder. I just downloaded some stuff so I could put it in the show. I want to show it off. I want to use it. I do. I'm crazy about it. All right. Well, the other one I want to do is, oh yeah, when I see Antifa, this is what I really want to deal with. Or this one. I know. Because the time is coming, folks. Antifa, I laid it out last night. If you didn't listen to last night's... Okay, let me back up. 2 nights ago, I did an interview with Glenn and Shelby Tate. Prepper authors. Published Prepper authors. Both of them. You need to listen to that show first. When you listen to last night's show, the Patriot Update Part 1... I take some of the ideas that we are talking about from the interview and we expand upon them. And on this show, we will conclude some of the stuff I wanted to get to last night but ran out of time. So there you have it. That's why we're here. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Let's get going here. Where is it? Where is it? Where is my stuff? Okay. We have Antifa. They claim they're anti-fascist, but in fact they are fascist. Just the way it is. Something you need to understand is that Antifa is not fighting for freedom. They are fighting for a communist revolution. They've been so indoctrinated by their educators that they're willing to be the useful idiots and head onto the street. Now, who tells the useful idiots what to do? Well, we've known, we can show many times. It doesn't take a lot of detective work to find out that Soros is funding particular organizations who sit there and then pay off these guys. Case in point, look at the Kavanaugh hearings. There's plenty of video of once the protesters that are acting the fools in the hearing are escorted outside and sent on their way. They meet up with somebody and they got the, oh, here's your money. It's out there, guys. It doesn't take a lot of work. You just got to be willing to look for it. It's out there. It's very easy to find. So, despite the antiseptic portrayals throughout the American media, Antifa are more than anti-fascist. Antifa provides the violent complement to academic neo-Marxism. This is from the Federalist. The Federalist wrote this. This is great stuff. Joseph D. Hippolito wrote this, and he is right on the money. And guess what he wrote this? He wrote this in November 1st of last year. Almost a year ago. So when you hear some of the stuff he's talking about, it is dated because it was written a year ago, but he's right on the money. In the immediate aftermath of Charlottesville violence, several prominent figures, including CNN anchor Chris I Forgot My Meth Pipe Cuomo and Jeffrey Goldberg, editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, equated left-wing Antifa activists with the thousands of Allied soldiers who stormed Normandy's beaches to invade Adolf Hitler's Fortress Europe on D-Day. I'm ready to puke already, but you got to hear this out, all right? A more appropriate equation would be with the thousands of soldiers in the Red Army who brutally marched toward Berlin, where they would establish Soviet hegemony in the so-called German Democratic Republic after defeating Hitler. So Antifa returns to the news this week. On Tuesday night, former Breitbart.com editor Milo Yiannopoulos, by the way, I like Milo. He may be gay, and I don't care. He's interesting because he's Jewish, and he calls out as he sees it. He's really an interesting person to watch, and he doesn't back down either. He spoke at the California State University Fullerton and a program sponsored by the university's college Republicans. 7 were arrested amid reports of head punching and pepper spray. Protesters of the event chanted, "Cops and the Klan go hand in hand," and held signs reading, "Only socialist revolution can defeat capitalist reaction." In February, Antifa militants committed such mayhem while protesting Yiannopoulos' appearance at the University of California, Berkeley, that university officials canceled his speech at the last minute. Well, we all know about Berkeley. Berkeley is also the home to the resistance movement By Any Means Necessary. The mayor of Berkeley, he's a member. Yes. So on Saturday, Antifa will join other leftist groups in a massive nationwide protest designed to force Donald Trump's administration out of office. Organizing those protests is Refuse Fascism, which declares, in the name of humanity, we refuse to accept a fascist America. Oh, for the love of God. Despite antiseptic portrayals throughout American media, Antifa are more than anti-fascist. Antifa represents the chaos of Germany's Weimar Republic, or if you're in German, the Weimar Republic. Well, the reason it's Weimar, you know, spelled the W, is because there's no W in German language. The W's are pronounced with a V, so it would be the German Weimar Republic. And provide the violent complement to academic neo-Marxism, which is still in full swing today. Like their philosophical comrades, Antifa seek to destroy the American emphasis on liberty under law and to impose a revival of one of history's most repressive ideologies. Antifa is anti-West and anti-capitalist. You know, Bernd Langer, whose book 80 Years of Anti-Fascist Action was published by Germany's Association for the Promotion of Anti-Fascist Literature, succinctly defined the rhetorical subterfuge. Anti-fascism is a strategy rather than an ideology, wrote Langer, a former Antifa member, for an anti-capitalist form of struggle. Short for the German phrase Antifaschistische Aktion, Antifa served as a paramilitary arm of the German Communist Party, the KPD, which the Soviet Union funded. In other words, Antifa became the German communist version of the Nazis' brown-shirted SA. The KPD made no secret of Antifa's affiliation. A 1932 photo of KPD headquarters in Berlin prominently displayed the double-flagged Antifa emblem among other communist symbols and slogans. In a photo from the 1932 Unity Congress of Antifa in Berlin, the double-flagged banner shared space with, you got it, the hammer and sickle, and with 2 large cartoons. One supported the KPD, The other mocked the SPD, Germany's Social Democratic Party. Now, today's Antifa embrace those roots. During February's protest in Berkeley, masked Antifa agitators caused nearly $100,000 in damage by starting fires, breaking windows, assaulting bystanders with pepper spray and flagpoles, painting graffiti on nearby businesses, and destroying automatic teller machines. The Refuse Fascism, the group organizing Saturday's protest, is controlled by the Revolutionary Communist Party USA, which seeks to create a Marxist United States through violent revolution. Patriots, they've already said they're coming for you. They've already said they want a revolution. They want an armed revolution. And last week, they said they want another civil war. You better start getting prepper fit. You better start getting combat fit. You better start getting ready. And dump your excuses why you can't go and do something. You're right, I'm scolding. That's okay, though. I want to get you amped up. I want to get you motivated. Motivated to initiate action to defend yourself if necessary and your country and this republic when the time comes, because it's coming. Now, law and order among Antifa's enemies. You know, Antifa's goal to suppress fascism reflects the views of neo-Marxist philosopher Herbert Marcuse. A policy of unequal treatment would protect radicalism on the left against that on the right. Marcuse wrote in Repressive Tolerance, his 1965 essay, liberating tolerance, then, would mean intolerance against movements from the right and toleration of movements from the left, extending to the stage of action as well as discussion and propaganda of deed as well as word. Now we know, well, let's put it this way. You can take that exact quote and you can put it and apply it to social media. Twitter, Google, Facebook, same thing. The big three. That's where they're getting it. Now, Marcuse dismissed the idea of individual liberty protected by law in favor of a Marxist society favoring ostensibly oppressed groups at the expense of everybody else. Such a society, Marcuse wrote, would demand the withdrawal of toleration of speech and assembly from groups and movements that not only promote aggressive policies, armament, chauvinism, discrimination on the grounds of race and religion, but also oppose the extension of public services, Social Security, medical care, etc., and may necessitate new and rigid restrictions on teachings and practices in the educational institutions. There's your neo-Marxism in academia. These are your college professors. This is what they've been taught, and they've been doing it for generations, and that's what's being taught today. Remember, this was written in 1965. 65! 50 years ago, practically. So Marcuse even justified violence in that he says there is a natural right of resistance for oppressed and overpowered minorities to use extra-legal means if the legal ones have proved to be inadequate. He wrote, law and order are always and everywhere the law and order which protect the established hierarchy. It is nonsensical to invoke the absolute authority of this law and this order against those who suffer from it and struggle against it for their share of humanity. If they use violence, they do not start a new chain of violence, but try to break an established one. So that's how they justify their violent actions. Hey, we're trying to free people from this already violence. It's already violent. We're just trying to use violence to free them from that violence. That's like, well, the house is on fire. Should we put water on it? No, we should start a fire on the other side of the house. Just saying. In expressing his contempt for the sacred liberalistic principle of equality for the other side, Marcuse maintained in 1968 that there are issues where either there is no other side in any more than a formalistic sense, or where the other side is demonstrably aggressive and impedes possible improvement of the human condition. Now, That's where they get the idea that conservatives are bad. We're regressive. We're impeding the possible improvement of human conditions. My question to him would have been, who determines what's the improvement on the human condition? Who's to say what it is? Him? His followers? So elements of today's left embrace Marcuse's ideas, which I've been talking about. Now, Kay-Sue Park, a University of California at Los Angeles law fellow, reflected Marcuse's thought when in an op-ed in the New York Times, she challenged the ACLU to reconsider its approach to the First Amendment. The ACLU represented Jason Kessler, who organized the Unite the Right rally and sued the city of Charlottesville for revoking his permit for the protest. Now, the ACLU's approach implies that the country is on a level playing field, that at some point it overcame its history of racial discrimination to achieve a real democracy, the cornerstone of which is freedom of expression, Park wrote. Other forms of structural discrimination and violence also restrict the exercise of speech, such as police intimidation of African Americans and Latinos. The danger that communities face because of their speech isn't equal. The Parks Fellowship is with the UCLA's Critical Race Studies program. Critical race studies comes from critical theory, a sociological approach developed by Germany's neo-Marxist Frankfurt School, where Marcuse was a leading thinker. Now, Johns Hopkins professor N.D.B. Conley blended Marcuse's philosophy with Antifa's militancy in a Washington Post op-ed, where he compared the United States racial history to a game of rock, paper, scissors. For a long while, we've been throwing a lot of paper, Conley wrote. Liberalism, our paper, preserves our country's long commitments to contracts. Under liberalism, citizens stand in contract with their government. The government's job, in turn, has been to enforce contracts between individuals and groups. Truly, when people ask for rights, be they women's rights, gay and transgender rights, or rights as people of color, they are asking for contract rights. That's what Professor N.D.B. Conley wrote at Johns Hopkins. Rocks breaks scissors. But racism, Conley argued, serves as scissors. Right at the country's founding, racists cut black and indigenous people out of liberalism's contract. Black bodies and Native American land did not deserve the protection of contract. They deserved bondage and expropriation. The solution? No matter its form, rock breaks scissors, Conley wrote. A half-century ago, nothing less than radical anti-racism could reduce white supremacy to an outlaw religion. So in April of 1968, amid a flurry of other rocks, riots shook American cities following the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. It took that rolling unrest to spur President Lyndon Johnson and Congress to action. Within a week, they had passed the Fair Housing Act. Now, Conley concluded by advocating similar measures. Segregationists have again assumed their pedestals in the Justice Department, the White House, and many other American temples, he wrote. Paper alone won't drive them out. Start throwing rocks. In slandering those who hold opposing views and essentially calling Martin Luther King Jr. a failure, Conley reflected the true Antifa spirit, neo-Marxism über alles. Translated, neo-Marxism overall. Now that's from Joseph D. Hippolito. He's a freelance writer, and his commentaries have appeared in the Jerusalem Post, the Stream, Front Page Magazine, and the American Thinker. Now you know a little bit more about Antifa and where they get their nonsense, where it's rooted. If you can find out and you know where it's coming from, where it started, you can counter it. Oh, now, there was a post by Austin. I guess he found a video between Proud Boys and Antifa members. It was a security surveillance video. And all you see is it just shoots down this little gated walkway, and you see the little bit back and forth You see Antifa getting their butts handed to them again. But what's interesting is that some of the comments from the people suggested, mind you, and get this, they suggested that Antifa was the true heroes there, and that they didn't start it. When you can clearly see in the video, they threw the first bottle. And when they threw the first bottle, the soy boys got their butts handed to them. I know, say it ain't so. It's true. It's true. It is all true. I got to put this in, guys. So give me a minute here. What do I want to do here? Oh, this is from Jimmy Michaels. It's kind of interesting, and I wanted to play it for you.
Hello, this is Jimmy Michaels. I'm an independent label owner and music producer. Over the past decade and a half, internet radio has helped boost both my label's past artists and my own work. Today, the multi-million-dollar corporations and artists who make more than enough to last a lifetime are trying to put a permanent stop to internet radio by raising the already reasonable license costs to nearly 10 times more, which will force thousands of stations to shut down forever. This would result in having nothing but the current top 40 and same 50 songs played over and over, giving both the consumer no freedom of choice to hear the type of music they want on the radio, as well as making it near impossible for 90% of most independent artists today to be heard, promoted, and discovered in an already declining side of the music industry. Do you really want to be stuck with the same 50 songs in the same 2 or 3 genres that the bigwigs select over and over, year after year? Visit howtohelp.saveinternetradio.info to find out how you can join the fight against these corporations to save both music freedom of choice and independent music today.
All right. Interesting stuff. But you guys didn't know about that, did you? But getting back to it, Antifa, when did they say this? These fools. When did they do? When did this come out? All right, came out last week. And Antifa said, "Our attack is merely the beginning." As Antifa vandalizes the New York City GOP headquarters and warns of more violence. Here they are. They're telling you, we're coming. We're coming. What are you going to do? Do you want to? You could sit there and hope the police will stop it. The problem we have with this, it's not the police rank and file. You have to understand, mayors hire and fire chiefs of police, the administration, the police administration. And therefore, the mayors tell the chief what they will and won't do. For example, how many times have we seen in Portland where there's some serious, shall we say, butt kicking going on, or attack with an unprovoked attack with a weapon of choice, and the police officers are just standing there, and it boils your blood, it makes you angry. Yeah, you guys saw this. You saw this. Go do your job. The problem is this. Antifa will not act up where they have political cover. I've been saying that for a long time, and it's true. So if, for example, the mayor of Portland, who's an avowed socialist and useless POS, tells the chief of police, do not interfere. Do not interfere. Now the mayor knows he can't give the police chief orders to say, don't arrest Antifa, the protesters, because then that will come back to bite the city in the back, on the backside, and they'll have to, pay up. So tell the police, don't do anything. So now the insurance companies get stuck paying for all the damage, and what do the insurance companies do? When they get stuck with the bill, they pass it on to all their customers. We spread the pain out equally amongst all of those, so that way we can all pay our fair share to make this business whole again. When in fact, if the police just did their job, if the mayor wasn't such a POS, then you wouldn't have this issue at all. But again, it's the same issue. Now, you could take it a step further. You could probably extrapolate this if you want. San Francisco is a prime example. The city council there. We all was brought to light when Kate Steinle was murdered by an illegal immigrant. I'm not going to call him an undocumented person. He's here illegal. He's a criminal. He broke the law. He's a criminal. Period. End of conversation. There is no equivocating it. What we saw, the reaction from the city council when it came to passing Kate's law, they didn't want to do it. But we also saw some breakdowns. We saw the sheriff there in the county. Turned out he didn't want to contact ICE to come get this guy. Why? Because he was told not to. Okay, I won't do it. I'll do whatever you say. Okay, okay. And they release him. He goes out and finds a gun and says, oh, look at this. Bang. Oh, I killed somebody. Yeah, right. Okay, give it a break. I don't even buy that story. Anybody that does buy the story, never mind. We won't go into that. My point is this. If you want to stop this nonsense with Antifa and with the illegal immigrants getting away with murder, literally, or sexual assault, what the victims' families have to do is they have to now file a federal suit against those politicians that made that decision not to enforce laws on the book. It is, you can sue the city, but sue them joint and severally, individually. So that way, for example, let's say in Portland, some business got vandalized to the point, say, they couldn't reopen. The insurance paid off, but it wasn't enough to help, rebuild the business or open it. What they could do then is turn around and file the federal suit against the Portland mayor, both as mayor and as an individual, for making it. Now, how do you prove that it's done? It's very simple. File the Freedom of Information Act and make them produce it. Make them produce it. And you do that to each and every city council member as well. Once they have to start paying out of their own pocket, you will see a change of mind, change of opinion. Now, San Diego is suffering that right now. Remember back when President Trump was in San Diego and the police department just sat there watching Trump supporters getting their butts handed to them because the mob was ganging up on them. You remember that poor woman? You remember that picture? I do. And they said, well, we couldn't do anything. What do you mean you couldn't do anything? You got a whole line of riot coppers standing there, and you didn't think to deploy them? It wasn't the sergeant on the scene. It wasn't the shift commander on the scene. They all received their marching orders from the chief, and which, by the way, he got his marching orders from the city council. Guess what's happening? They're being sued. Oh, yeah. And it has to happen each and every time. Start taking money from them. They'll learn. Because what happens is this. Most cities are not self-insured. They have insurance from the big insurance companies. It's supposed to cover them for lawsuits or whatever. Most of them don't have the deep pockets. They rely on the insurance companies to kind of back them. Well, after a while, the insurance companies say, you know what, this has happened 2 or 3 times. We're not covering you anymore. We're canceling your policy. Thank you for playing. Goodbye. Click. Hang up the phone. So anyways, getting back to it. They're telling you they're coming. Now, on Friday, the Daily Caller's Kerry Pickett reported that the Metropolitan Republican Club in Manhattan, which houses the Manhattan Republican Party and the New York City regional office of the New York Republican Party, was vandalized, including broken windows and spray-painted anarchist symbols. The criminal group that did the damage also left a note. Here you go. Tonight we put the Republican Party on notice in defiance to the policy of mass misery they have championed. Look, I didn't write this thing, so if I stop, it's because I'm reading this letter. I've noticed, like, Your punctuation is wrong. Sorry, it's throwing me off. But bear with me. I know. They're not as educated as they think. The U.S. government has established concentration camps around the country for Latino people, shamelessly murdering black people, and continues its war machine that has slaughtered Muslim people with impunity for decades. The so-called land of the free leads the world in incarceration rates per capita, all the while profiteering in the new plantation within the prison walls. Now, while these atrocities persist unabated, the Metropolitan Republican Club chose to invite a hipster fascist clown to dance for them, content to revel in their treachery against humanity. Look, guys, I didn't write it. The Republican Party, joined by their spineless partners in crime, the Democrats, institute a policy of domestic and foreign terror felt the world over. Our attack is merely a beginning. We are not passive. We are not civil, and we will not apologize. Those of good conscience and clear mind know this state of oppression cannot remain. The U.S. fascist political system was one of the most savage institutions in history, and we will combat it relentlessly until all are free of American barbarism. So we should trade American barbarism for, say, Chinese communist barbarism, or good old-fashioned Russian Soviet barbarism. What kind of barbarism are they? Because, anyways, I said that was hilarious. Just a few weeks ago, the Vandals covered a Republican office in Illinois with the word rape in the midst of the hearings regarding now Justice Kavanaugh. The Metropolitan Republican Club attributed the attacks to the leftist hate group Antifa, adding, Republicans are a minority party in New York City by a wide margin, and while most city residents are respectful of our activities, our grassroots actions are often met with hostility. Last night's shameful attack by Antifa cowards represent a tragic new low. Sadly, this is only the most recent example of leftist violence and aggression against the conservative movement. But rest assured that we will not be intimidated by violence, threats, or hate speech. We will continue to fight for freedom of speech and liberty here in New York City and all across this great nation. There you go, guys. They said it. They're coming for you. There you go. What more do you want? And, a couple days ago, 2 Republican candidates were attacked while campaigning in Minnesota. The Washington Free Beacon reports that 2 Republican candidates for state office in Minnesota were attacked while on the campaign trail, and one sustained a serious concussion. Minnesota State Representative Sarah Anderson told the WFB that she was punched in the arm after stopping someone she said was destroying GOP lawn signs. The man wheeled on her and attacked, chasing her to her car, and only stopped when she threw the car into reverse and fled the scene. It was just insane. He was charging at me saying, why don't you go kill yourself? Anderson told WFB reporter Bill McMorris, to have someone physically coming after you and attacking you is just disheartening. A second Republican candidate, Shane Meckland, who is running for state representative, says he was sucker punched while speaking to a group of potential constituents at a campaign stop. He was sitting at a high-top table at a local restaurant when a man stepped up and hit him, leaving Meckland with a concussion that could take 4 to 6 weeks to heal. I was so overtaken by surprise and shock that this is the new norm. This is not what I signed up for, he told WFB. Meckland did not say if he knew the party affiliation of the man who assaulted him. And the 2 assaults occurred just days after Minnesota Democratic operative took to social media to declare war on Republican candidates, jokingly suggesting that fellow leftists bring Republicans to the guillotine in a post on Facebook. Because you know what? There's nothing more funny than putting people on the guillotine. It's just freaking hilarious. It's just a riot. Rather than firing the staffer, the Democratic Farmer Labor Party suspended the staffer for a week. Both Anderson and Mecklen believe the Democrats should have taken more decisive action. They won't. They will take no more action. They're lucky they even suspended the guy. This is what they're asking for. This is what they're demanding. And this is what they're getting. They're coming, people. How much more do you need to know? I mean, I don't understand it. I don't know what to tell you. They're coming. They said they are. And they don't care. They don't care what you do. They don't care how you do it. They don't care how you handle it. So, my question then becomes, what are we supposed to do? Well, you should start getting prepared. You should start getting prepared now. Not later, because it's coming. I mean, I don't know what else we can do with it, guys. I'd like to know. But they're coming. They said they were. And they're serious about it. They are serious about coming to take your weapons. They are serious about wanting to... Oh, what's the word I'm looking for? They want to overthrow this constitutional republic. They've been brainwashed by their neo-Marxists in academia. They're given their marching orders. Case in point, you heard of Hitler. I mean Hitler. Hillary. Well, maybe a Freudian slip. You heard Hillary say that we're not going to be civil as long as we're out of power. As long as we're not in power, we're not going to be civil. It's true. You heard the former AG sit there and scream how, kick him, kick the cop, kick him. You know what? Those words will come back to haunt you. And they can. If you're going to be inciting violence, I have a listener. I'm not going to call him Joe. Actually, his name is Joe. I like Joe. He's been a long-time listener. And we were talking about one of the videos when we saw the flag going forward. So I really like seeing that, when they bring the flag forward, marching into the fray to deal with Antifa and, put them down like the dogs they are. The rabid dogs. Gotta be careful. I have Banjo the Wonder Dog in here. Don't want to hurt his feelings. So, and Joe says, both sides need to, pull back. I've noticed this recently, and maybe you have too. You notice that when the Democrats are finally called out for their behavior, most of the time the MSM host or the Democrat Democrat representative or whoever they've got there that's representing the left sits there and says, both sides have to pull back. Both sides have to stop it. No, both sides are not engaging in this. And not one MSM host has the intestinal fortitude to come and say, but wait, the Republicans are only responding to what you've done. How many times when you were a kid in elementary school, you got into a fight? And let's say, for the sake of argument, the other kid threw the first punch at you, and next thing you know, you're standing toe-to-toe, slugging it out, rolling on the ground, whatever. Teacher comes, sends you both to the principal's office. You're both sitting there in the principal's office. He says what happens. You both tell your story. And then you get the famous liberal excuse. Well, you're both in the wrong. You should not fight. No, I disagree. You should fight. This whole idea of we're going to compromise and roll over has made the American manhood, has given birth to soy boys and beta males and participation trophies. No, fight. Fighting sets things right. Even if you lost the fight, the fact you fight, chances are you'll probably never fight that person again. You probably won't. Just because he knows you're going to fight, you know you're going to fight. So, growing up, I had to fight with the same kid twice in the classroom. Different times. In the classroom. Yeah, that was me. I was one of those kids. But the thing of it was this. I didn't throw the first punch. I took the first punch and then the fight was on. Whether he shoved me or he threw a punch at me, whether it connected or not made no difference. The fight was on. My point is you can't sit there and keep taking it and taking it. The right, the Patriots cannot sit back and keep taking it and not respond. At some point in time, you're going to have to hold your ground when the leftist comes charging in. And Antifa's been doing it for a long time, and it's only recently, really, that Patriot started holding the line, saying, no, we're not putting up with this. You throw crap, guess what? We're going to throw crap right back. You push us, we're going to hit you. The doctrine of superior force is in effect. If you push me, I'm punching you in the face. You kick me, I'm going to hand your nards to you. That's what's at stake. At some point in time, you just can't back up anymore. You can't be civil. You can't be nice. And yes, sometimes you got to get into the gutter. Antifa came out of the sewer. Meet them in the gutter. Yeah, you're both going to get dirty, but you know what? At least you stand your ground. You stand for what's right. I'm just saying. And that's why fighting is good. Fighting sets things right. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. It happens. I didn't win every fight I was in. I lost a few here and there. Doesn't mean I stopped. But you know what? Got the reputation that if you screw with me, we're going to fight. I may lose, I don't care. I took on 2 twin brothers when I was in high school. That was a mistake. But I did it, and they never screwed with me after that. Sometimes you just got to know, yeah, you may win, but you're going to know you've been in a fight. You're not walking out of this unscathed. And that's the way I looked at it. And as Patriots, we cannot stand and continue to say, well, we both need to step back. No, we don't. We can't. You can't. You got to push back and say we're not putting up with it. You are not going to use violence to overthrow a constitutional republic. If you don't like this constitutional republic, you've got 182 other countries to choose from. Please go. Choose one and leave. No one is begging you to stay. That's as silly as the Republicans. I'm sorry, the Democrats in Hollywood. I wish Republicans would just come out and just tell them, the actors and actresses who think their opinion is more thoughtful and important than anybody else's. If he wins, I'm leaving the country. George Lopez, prime example. Yakking away. Trump wins. He's still here. Why didn't somebody, say a Republican in California running for office, turn on Lopez and say, you know what? You don't like it here? Great. Pack your bags and leave. After the election, when Trump won, somebody should have called Lopez out and said, I thought you were leaving. Trump won. Why are you still here? Call them out. Call them out. Watch them melt down right in front of the cameras. They will. That goofy Lena Dunham, she is one. Why is she still here? Call her out. Why don't they? Why don't they? I don't know. But it's high time that we stop trying to be civil. Stop trying to meet them halfway. They don't want to meet halfway. They want to get rid of patriots. They want to take your weapons. They want to take your speech. They want to institute political correctness. Most people in the United States don't like political correctness, but they're too afraid to say anything because they might get labeled racist. That racist card has been played out so much it's not even funny anymore. It doesn't mean anything anymore. It's like all these protests. No one cares anymore about your protest. No one cares. It doesn't mean anything. I know. I'm on a roll, and I'm going to keep going on it. In the meantime, we have a two-tier justice system. If you had actively plotted to overturn an electoral process in this country, you, Joe Blow average citizen, would be up on federal charges like that. Instead, well, we've got an issues here. We've got people inside the Department of Justice who are supposed to uphold the law, which, by the way, one of their employees was arrested yesterday for leaking information to the press. And they caught her with the flash drive in her hand. Yes, a flash drive in her hand that had the information she was going to give to the reporter. We have videos of federal employees saying they are actively working against this Trump administration and on conservatives. And they're accessing confidential information they should not be accessing. Why aren't they being held? Why aren't they being arrested? Why aren't they being held for trial? I don't know. You or me, we're gone. Main correctional complex at the nearest freaking large city that they have it in. For me, it'd be MCC Chicago. Main Correctional Center in Chicago. For you, it'd be in for some of you, where the biggest city is, that's where you'll find your MCC. But yet, we've got DOJ lawyers, FBI agents, and all kinds of stuff. And guess what? They haven't been charged. We know they've committed perjury, and yet they're still walking free. Why? Why do they get a break? The problem is the federal government has forgotten, except for, thank God, that Trump hasn't, has forgotten the fact that they work for us, not us for them. We don't work for the state works for us, and we have to start holding them to that. This whole idea that somehow they get a break. Well, they work for the government. So? Don't care. You work for me. You've lied, you've cheated, you've broken the law. If you lie, cheat, and you break the law, and I'm your employer, you're fired. Period. Instead, we got too many people, especially on the left, who are in this for themselves. You see people that, and this goes for some of the Republicans too, and I'm not saying, what I'm saying is they've been in government for so freaking long, they don't even know what the public sector is anymore. They don't live by the laws that they pass. For example, they can use insider trading to make their trades, and they're immune from prosecution. You and I do insider trading, we're going away. It's a two-tiered justice system, and it needs to stop. It needs to go away now. Now, granted, we've all seen on Disgrace Book, we've seen them time and time again. Well, on this date, they're going to do this. They're going to blow the lid off of Hillary. Really? Julian Assange is going to blow the lid if they don't arrest Hillary by October 21st. That was the headline. I said, okay, that's Sunday. Show me on Sunday whether that happens or not. Until then, it's empty words. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of believing that justice is actually going to get served on some of these people who have clearly violated their oath of office, broken federal law, and are still walking around free, collecting GoFundMe pages and their accounts. When they start arresting these people, start putting them in prison, start putting them on trial, then I'll believe it. There's something very fundamentally flawed here. You know it, I know it. It doesn't take, a nuclear physicist to figure this out, guys. You don't have to be a mathematician to figure it out. Antifa and the left are coming for you. But know this, here's the good news. For you patriots and preppers out there, while they rely on the government and others to pay their way, so they've got somewhere to eat, somewhere to sleep, something to eat, wherever, other than mommy's basement. We preppers and patriots are already there. We have our supply catch. We're continually improving it every week, every month. We're continually improving it. And the best thing is, you're not alone. We are in this together. We know who are patriots and who the clowns are. Yes. You have nothing to fear. Because when you're right, you're right. And if you're left, you're wrong. It's just the way it is, guys. Don't feel like you are in this alone. That there is nobody else out there that thinks the way you do. Because the mainstream media is going to want you to believe that you're the minority. You're not. I saw the latest, Fox News poll this morning. I was just like, give me a break. It says, if it were held today, the Fox News poll says 47% of the people would vote Democratic and 42% would vote Republican. You know what? I'm not buying it. If you're not going to vote, and you're a patriot, and you don't get off your butt and vote in this midterm, you're part of the problem. Exercise your God-given right in this country to have a voice. Because if you don't vote, then guess what? You don't have a right to bitch or complain. You got to get out and you got to vote. You got to do it this time. We got to do it in November. I think it's November 6th. I think that's the date. I have to look at it again. That's in what? 3 weeks maybe? 24, 25 days, roughly? You got to stop them. The left knows this is their last chance. They're being pushed to the limit. Think about it. Let's stick it to them and put them out of the misery like the rabid dogs they are. That's the only way we're going to crush them. Oh, by the way, and when they lose on Thursday or Wednesday, whenever the next day, watch them go bananas. They'll be heartbroken. I like it. They'll be crying and wailing and gnashing of teeth. Oh my God, it's going to be wonderful to watch it. It will. Okay, that'll do it for this episode. Patriot Update Part 2. Wanted to finish it out. I got a little crazy, but that's okay. I like it. It's okay. We're good. All right. We'll be back again, I think, hopefully, definitely by Tuesday for Part 2 of Glenn and Shelby's interview. Until that time, I want to thank you for your time, sharing it, let the world know about us. And if you feel like it, you can donate to the show through podbean.com. I appreciate it. I am John Jeffers, here for the Jeffers Brief on Contra Radio Network and soon to be KYAH, 540 AM, Utah's Talk Authority. Thanks again for listening, and we'll do this, I said, definitely by Tuesday, maybe again this weekend, depending on what goes on. All right, then. I'm John Jeffers saying thank you for listening, and keep up the fight.